like a magic animal friends. We're gonna read chapter 1, and if we have also time, we might also read chapter 2 of Charlotte's Web. And yep. And Magic Animal Friend will be tomorrow, and I'm just gonna give you time to think. If you still don't have time to vote, of course you can tell me in the chat. Can we have one more day? And by the way, tomorrow I am free. I have no school today, and so I'm free to watch out for you guys. So don't worry. Anyway, so I also got this chapter 1 page over here, Before Breakfast. So I'm gonna read it out to you. Okay. Okay. So Charlotte's Web. Chapter 1, Before Breakfast. Where's Papa going with that axe? Said Fern to her mother as they were setting the table for breakfast. Out to the hog house, replied Mrs. Arable. Some pigs were born last night. I don't see why he needs an axe, continued Fern, who was only 8. Well, said her mother, one of the pigs is a runt. It's very small and weak, and it will never amount to anything. So your father has decided to do away with it. Do away with it? Struck Fern. You mean kill it? Just because it's smaller than the other? Mrs. Arable put a pitcher of ice cream on the table. Don't yell, Fern, she said. Your father is right. The pig would probably die anyway. Fern pushed a chair out of the way and ran outdoors. The grass was wet and earth smelled of springtime. Fern's sneakers was sloping by the time she caught up with her father. Please don't kill it, she sobbed. It's unfair. Mr. Arable stopped walking. Fern, he said gently, you'll have to learn to control yourself. Control myself, yelled Fern. This is a matter of life and death. And you're talking about controlling myself. Tears ran down her cheeks and she took hold of the axe and tried to pull it out of her father's hand. Fern, said Mr. Arable, I know more about raising a litter of pigs than you do. A weakling makes trouble, now run along. But it's unfair, cried Fern. The pig couldn't help being born small, could it? If I had been very small at birth, would you have killed me? Mr. Arable smiled. Certainly not, he said, looking down at his daughter with love. But this is different. A little girl is one thing, a little runty pig is another. I see no difference, replied Fern, still hanging on to the axe. This is the most terrible case of injustice I have ever heard of. A queer look came from John Arable's face, and seemed almost ready to cry himself. All right, he said. You go back to the house, and I will bring the runt when I come in. I'll let you start in a bottle like a baby. Then you'll see what trouble a pig can be. When Mr. Arable returned to the house half an hour later, he's carrying a cartridge under his arm. Fern was upstairs changing her sneakers. The kitchen table was set for breakfast. The room smelled of coffee, bacon, damp plaster, and wood smoke from the stove. Put it on her chair, said Mrs. Arable. Mr. Arable set the cartridge down at Fern's place. Then he walked to the sink and washed his hands and dried them on the roller towel. Fern came slowly down the stairs. Her eyes were red from crying. As she approached her chair, the cartoon wobbled, and there was a stretching nose. Fern looked at her father. Then she lifted the lid off the cartoon. There, inside, looking up at her, was a newborn pig. It was a white one. The morning light shone through its ears, turning them pink. "He's yours," said Mr. Arable, "saved from an untimely death. And may the good Lord forgive me for this foolish." Fern couldn't take her eyes off the tiny pig. "Oh," she whispered. "Oh, look at him. He's absolutely perfect." She closed the curtain carefully. First, she kissed her father and then kissed her mother. Then she opened the lid again, lifted the pig out, and held it against her cheeks. At this moment, her brother Avery came into the room. Avery was 10. He was heavily armed and air rifle in one hand. Sorry, guys, I'm getting trouble with this word. Maybe you guys can help me with that word if you have that book. It's chapter 1. Okay. A wooden dagger in the other. "What's that?" he demanded. "What's Fern got?" "She's got a guess from the breakfast. For breakfast," said Mrs. Arable. "Wash your hands and face, Avery." "And let's see it," said Avery, setting his gun down. "You call that miserly thing a pig? That's a fine specimen of a pig. It's no bigger than a white rat. Wash up and eat your breakfast, Avery," said his mother. "The school bus will be along in half an hour." "Can I have a pig too, Pop?" asked Avery. "No, I only distribute pigs to the early risers," said Mr. Arable. Fern was up at daylight, trying to rid the world of injustice. As a result, she now has a pig, a small one, to be sure, but nevertheless a pig. It just shows what can happen if a person gets out of the bed promptly. Let's eat. But Fern couldn't eat until her pig had a drink of milk. Mrs. Arable found a baby nursery bottle and a rubber nipple. She poured warm milk in the bottle, fitted the nipple over the top, and handed it into the Fern. "Give him his breakfast," she said. A minute later, Fern was seated on the floor in her corner of the kitchen with her infant between her knees, teaching it to suck from the bottle. The pig, although tiny, had a good appetite and caught on quickly. The school bus honked from the road. "Run!" commented Mrs. Arable, taking the pig from Fern and slipping a donut in her hand. Avery grabbed his gun and another donut. The children ran out the road and climbed into the bus. Fern took notice of the bus. She just sat and stared out of the window, thinking what a blissful world it was and how lucky she was to have entire charge of a pig. By the time the bus reached school, Fern had named her pet, selecting the most beautiful name she could think of. "Its name is Wilbur," she whispered to herself. She was still thinking about the pig when the teacher said, "Fern, what is the capital of penny is..." Okay, I don't know how to say that word. You might help me. It's in the end of chapter 1. "Wilbur, Wilbur," replied Fern dreamily. The puppies giggled. Fern blushed. Okay, so this was chapter 1, and next chapter we're gonna go on chapter 2 tomorrow. And it's a short video, but I hope you still enjoy it. And remember to vote for Magic Animal Friend and tell me where to buy those 9 books. Bye, guys!